With me this week is interior design consultant Lucinda Griffith. Thank you so much for joining us, Lucinda.
It's a pleasure.
As you know, the project we're working on, incredibly exciting. It's a Georgian house, and I showed you some pictures of the sort of door that our client's looking for. Very wide, fabulous looking doors. I want to know from you how we can, I suppose, find doors like that. Do we need to reclaim? Do we need to buy new? What are we looking for in a Georgian door?
It's an interesting question because there's a lot of stock doors that feel period now, but in fact are false copies almost, and there's some dead giveaways you want to look for when choosing doors to give you a period feel. Mouldings are really important. You want a nice fine moulding. Doesn't feel churned out by a factory.
Now, I'm going to stop you there. What exactly is a moulding?
Absolutely. Should we have a look at this
Yes,
door behind
please
you
do,
here?
yes.
Here, these are glazing bars with mouldings on. You've also got mouldings down here.
So the mouldings are sort of the
They're the little
grooves.
details that make stop a door being totally plain, square-edged shaker door.
Right.
The other thing to be looking for is panels here. On a Georgian door, you would have a totally flat panel inside. This one is raised in the centre and is called a raised and fielded panel. Most modern doors now do seem to be made with raised and fielded panels. So to get that Georgian look, go for a flat panel inside and a simple moulding like this around the edges. Straight away, that's going to give you that lovely Georgian look.
Perfect. Next up, I know you were talking about the is it the ridges?
The glazing bars
The glazing
here, yes,
bars. Oh my
absolutely.
goodness. Yes, tell me about the glazing bars.
Again, modern doors, double glazing, it's much easier for them to make double glazed and glazed doors with very chunky glazing here. Now, old doors were made with beautifully fine, often slightly deeper front to back, but not so wide here. If you want to get a glazed door that looks original, you need very fine glazing bars on here.
Okay, and what sort of weight are we looking for? Because, I mean, I've been through these reclamation yards thinking I know everything, and you are faced with a huge array, and suddenly you go into panic mode because some are light, some are heavy. Bearing in mind we've got to live in the modern world, what sort of weight are we looking for?
To get the feel of a period door, you do want it to feel heavy when you're opening it and shutting it. Modern doors are often made with lighter woods, which do sort of fling open, causing no damage to the wall behind, which is a good thing. But to get that period feel, original architecture, you would have had much heavier doors, often because they were made in oak. Now that can be pricey for you, so it's a decision you need to make. Does the weight of the door really matter to you personally? But if you want a period feel, go for the heavier woods. And also thicker doors. Modern doors are very thin. Older doors used to be thicker, partly for heat retention and for soundproofing, because of course you didn't have fitted carpets in those days. So that's something to think about.
Something else that's been bothering me is the architraving around the side. I mean, do I have to think about that now, or do I buy the door and then worry about it?
A bit of both. You should be thinking about it. The chances are, when the job is being priced by your builder, he will have come in and allowed for a stock moulding, a stock architrave around the door. These are usually not very wide, and again, not that much fineness to the detailing. Something like this one, totally flat architrave. A builder is going to think nothing of specifying this, and it's only when he starts putting it in that you'll suddenly go, hold on, this doesn't look right.
This isn't Georgian,
So
this is not the
do
style.
try and think about it. It doesn't need to be bought in conjunction with the doors, but make sure the builder is aware that you want a wider architrave and that you've talked to the joiners about what you want to do. You can combine two architraves to create a bigger, newer one, so you can get a very plain flat board around here, totally straightforward, and then get a standard stock architrave, which is about that wide, and you plant it on top of it. Suddenly you've got wonderful big architraves giving you that really lovely period look.
And in terms of, well, that's what I was going to go back to, our client. I mean, those photographs, we have to remember, that's
Yes.
what our client's looking for. We're trying to recreate that look. Their architrave, would it be wood?
Yes,
We'll be
absolutely.
making that with wood. So
But
having
painted.
painted wood,
Yes.
dealing with the architect, dealing with the carpenter on that
Yes.
one.
Dealing with the joiner. It's painted though, so it means you can mix it up, so to speak, with stock items to create one. Go and talk to your joiner about it. Go to somewhere where they're stocking standard architraves. Buy some pieces of it and play around, see what you can create and look at photos. But generally, width is what you're looking for. And again, fineness of the mouldings. See how you can create that using what's out there already.
Now, I know earlier on you mentioned when looking at the photographs that our client particularly wanted this look of door. You mentioned that one was actually not originally Georgian and one Victorian, but you didn't seem to think that was a problem.
No, I think that a Georgian house has been around for 200 years. People have been playing with it. They've had doors they've replaced, doors they've changed. Houses have history. They have the accumulation of the generations afterwards. I think it's not a problem to have a Victorian door in a Georgian house. But when you're planning a house, try and make sure that if you're standing in the hall or the landing, all the doors you can see are the same. You can perhaps change from one floor to the other, but you don't want to be looking at a hodgepodge from one space. I think that's the thing to watch out for.
And something you mentioned earlier as well with the handles. This is my obsession. I can't wait to go and buy the Georgian
many lovely
handles.
ones there.
I know. But you mentioned they're much lower in Georgian times.
Yes. Again, it's a classic sort of joiner error. What the joiners tend to do is to put handles, if I understand right,
Yes, yep.
higher up. This is actually quite a sort of modern thing to do. They should be lower down, usually where the stiles and rails, that's this bit, and this bit cross, and that's where door handles would have been. It's a dead giveaway that a house has been done recently when you find door handles halfway up the side of the door. So try and avoid that and make sure your joiners know early on that's where you're going to be putting the handles.
So if we don't tell the client, do you think we could get away with having a new door made in the style of the old Georgian door? Or do
Absolutely.
you think... Really?
Yes, I think you can go and you could buy one old door that is a Georgian door and see if you can then get that copied and made up. It is harder to buy a stock door that feels Georgian, simply because of problems like this raised and gilded panel
yes.
we were talking about. You often get doors which have an alarming open grain look. I think people feel that will be old world, but in fact it's a dead giveaway.
Oh,
that
keep
it's
away
a
from that
new
one.
door. So keep away. You want a nice smooth finish and you want to try and get the flat panels. But it is worth talking to a local joiner and seeing if he could copy an old door. It also gets you around problems you can have with fire regulations.
Yes.
Old doors often don't meet new regulations. Also, old doors may not fit the sizes you want. So it's really worth doing a cost comparison as to
Right.
whether old doors are really going to be more valuable.
Phew, that's taken the pressure off of us, because we've now got to go and find our client the doors for the Georgian house.
How exciting.
Can't wait.
Exactly.